So how can Jump Advisory Group help Leeds Tykes? It's really interesting. Jump Advisory Group, we are a group of 4 people that came together during the pandemic. So we were born in a storm. And the way it came about, we've all got recruitment experience. I've got 30 years plus experience in the recruitment market. And we've taken up the opportunity to see a gap in the marketplace. And we help companies grow and scale and develop their businesses. And a lot of that is about creating an environment that is conducive to create really high performing teams. And it's taking leaders of businesses and the substructure of that business to ensure that it has the right environment to grow and scale. And I think there's a lot of synergies between that sporting environment and the rugby environment. And I think it's really important that when you start to look at people like Jump Advisory Group, as I say, I was working with my partner when lockdown happened. We decided what we were going to do. We started to do all sorts of different things, which reconnected me with Phil. We asked him to sort of help us build a presentation for building high performance teams. But what it sort of showed was the synergy between sport and work, and how that transition from players working and full-time and playing rugby full-time is a really hard transition to make. And this is where Phil and I started to talk about it and how we could help the players bridge that transition and work on that transition. Balancing a career and full-time rugby is really hard work. And part of my job of working with Phil is to help the players get the right balance, work-life balance, let's call it, between the two. It's really important that you excel at work, and part of my job of working with Leeds Tykes will be helping the players find the right job, maybe preparing them for interviews, maybe preparing them for promotions, talking about how they can overcome certain things at work. And it's important sometimes that you have a sounding board outside of work that you can really sort of relate to and sort of debunk onto. But it's also important to understand how that affects your playing and how it affects your state of mind whilst playing. Whilst playing, I was found that it was really difficult sometimes because you're working, 8, 9, 10 hours every day, and that's not physically exhausting sometimes, but sometimes it's really mentally exhausting. And having that balance of, switching off between work and rugby is really important. But what we have to remember is Yorkshire is the biggest playing rugby county in the country. And the fact that we haven't got a Premiership team really irks at me. And that's one of the reasons why I'm working with Leeds Tykes to try help create a better environment for their players to perform at the highest level of rugby. If we just look at Yorkshire and look at the amount of players that have come out of Yorkshire, and look at the amount of players that came out of Reading, Roundy, Headingley, out of Leeds Tykes, that have gone on to have stellar careers, it demonstrates that if we could hold on to these players and create a playing base in Yorkshire that is in the Premiership, Yorkshire could once again dominate the UK rugby scene. And that's why I want to work with Phil and Leeds Tykes and their players to help them achieve that goal.